Shooby-dooby-doobity, shooby-dooby-doobity. This is a placeholder song, I hope. Hey everybody, welcome back to the All Men, the All Moments, Eternally Nice podcast. My name is Max Haddad. I'm your host. I just did this. I don't know what that means. For those of you just listening, not watching, just imagine a hand gesture that you've never seen before that only an alien would do, but the alien's pretending to be human, trying to trick people. So that's what I did. Yeah. You know, right at the start, the camera is starting to look a little bit better. I'm happy about that. My hair is greasy. Doesn't look great. How have you guys been? Have you been good? It's been a week over here, okay? It's been a little bit of a week. Not a bad week, but kind of a blah week. And I got to be honest, sometimes, and this sounds stupid, I guess, now that I'm about to say it out loud, I'm already regretting it, but I'm going to burp. No, I'm not. So sometimes I prefer a week that has a legitimate problem in it. And it doesn't have to be a week, it could be a day, you know, but it, like a real thing that's wrong. I don't want to be sick again, but I'm sick. Something happens with a friend, whatever it is, like not an emergency. I don't want to. Sometimes I prefer if my dad gets in a car accident. No, but just something like that I can pinpoint and be like, that's what's wrong. That's why I don't feel great. I'm concerned about this thing. I don't know what to do. I'm confused, whatever it is. To these weeks where I'm just, you know, I'm not even unhappy, but I'm just like, I don't feel like myself. That's kind of what this week has been. I feel like I've been like my personality goes 60 miles an hour normally, but I've been operating at 45 and I'm trying to get to 60 and I just can't quite get there. And it's life. It's normal. I know it's normal, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I haven't been sleeping very well. I slept last night pretty good. I'm still sleeping on the couch for some reason instead of my bed. I truly don't know why. I'm just like, I've just given up on beds for some reason. So I just kind of feel weird. Not bad. And again, like, what is this podcast about? This podcast is about I have something in my eye. It's about having things in your eye. This podcast is about taking your bad moments, making them better. Taking your great moments, making them even greater. It's about living life and trying to, you know, pursue your dreams. Be a happier boy or girl or whatever. And I feel like I'm pretty good about having answers. I really try to show up to the podcast with something to say, like actually something to say. But feeling like this, I'm kind of like, all I can do is show up for you guys and be like, well, I'm just kind of feeling funky. And maybe the answer to that is just getting through it. That's it. I think I will say, I think I am a little, what's the word for it? Pre-concerned? That's not a fucking word. I'm a little distracted. That is a word, but it's not what I'm looking for. I'm a little, I don't know, dude. I'm thinking about stuff. I'm going to be traveling this week. I've got shows out of town this week. I'm going to Louisville, Kentucky. I'm excited. I've never had a show there. I think I've gone there for an open mic at one point years and years and years ago, but I've never had like at least a paid show there. Definitely not a paid show. I don't know. Maybe I've done a show there, but I don't remember. I was doing a show here and met a girl that was from Louisville, and she's a booker, and I produced a show, so she asked me to be on hers, and it's been a long time coming. This was like 6 months ago. I literally forgot that it was happening until last week, and then she messaged me, and she's like, hey, you still coming out? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the money. I'm excited to perform in a city that I've not performed in recently. I do like traveling to perform, especially because it makes me feel like a real boy. Not a Pinocchio, but like a real comedian. But I think I am thinking about it. It's only a 2-hour drive, first of all. It's basically next door, but I still feel like, I don't know. It just makes me, I feel like my whole week centers around this thing. Does that make sense? Like, the days before, I'm like prepping to do it. The days after, I know I'm going to be like recovering from it. And that's because my energy levels suck. I'm basically like, I can do 2 things in a day and then I have to rest for 4. But yeah, I don't know. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm thinking about this trip that I'm about to take. And I'm not even going to stay overnight. Literally, the show's at 7 p.m. I'm going to be done by 9. I'll be home before midnight. But it still feels like a big deal. And then a few days after that, I'm staying in the state, but I'm going to a city that's even further away than Louisville. But So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But and here's what's a little concerning to me is at this point I feel like a real comedian. Talent wise or like skill wise. I don't talent wise like I'm in a fucking beauty pageant. Skill wise, I've put in enough work that I feel no question I'm a comedian that way. I don't wonder like am I just an open micer? Am I a hobbyist? I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying I'm fucking world class, but if you put me in front of an audience, I'll do well almost invariably. Unless something crazy is going on in the audience. But like logistically, I'm not at all where I want to be yet. I'm not making enough money doing it. And this is okay with me. Like I know it's going to happen, but I'm not where I want to be at. I'm not doing as much as I would like to do. And that's just going to come with time also. But I like doing this kind of stuff because it validates me, but it concerns me because if I'm truly being thrown off by this, bro, I want to pursue a career that I do this shit every week in, week out. And for a lot worse traveling than a 2-hour drive, you know what I mean? So I kind of just got to like, hey man, deal with it. This is part of it. You know, something that's always been a little funky for me with stand-up is performing is my, like, legitimately, like, my favorite thing in the world to do. It's the most fun I have. It's the most fulfilled I feel. It's the most creative I get to be. It's one of the absolute best things in my life, aside from, you know, like my dog, family, that kind of thing. But everything else in stand-up is like, I have to tolerate it. Like I don't like schmoozing, okay? And I meet wonderful people. I really like talking to other comics, talking shop, whatever, just hearing about their stories on the road, things like that. I do like it, but I don't like schmoozing. I don't like networking. I don't like thinking about it like that. I don't like traveling. I hate social media. Like doing this podcast, now I love it. It's something I'm just doing. Like I'm used to it. I'll say I have a burp that needs to come out. And it's not coming out, and it's going to ruin the podcast. But like I know, and I've mentioned this a million times now, but I know that I need to start taking clips of my shows and uploading it to fucking TikTok, which I thought I would never have to be a part of. Instagram, Twitter, even. I feel like Twitter's dead at this point, but Twitter, everything else in stand-up aside from just doing it and like maybe writing jokes feels like that's where the work is for me. That's what feels like the work, you know, like the stuff that you have to bear through to get the parts that you like. And I hope that I can do it. You know what I mean? Like I think that I am a pretty tolerant person. And by that, I mean, like I can deal with shit that's not comfortable. I've had to go through some awful shit, as we all have, but I've had to go through some awful shit in my life, way worse again than having to drive 2 hours. And I've dealt with it with dignity and, you know, kept my backbone and integrity. And so dealing with this kind of stuff is like shouldn't be a big deal, but it still is. I feel like it's very subjective, right? Like whatever the worst thing you're going through at the time is, that's what feels bad. You know what I mean? Like to some degree, I can say, you know, the shit I went through years ago was way worse than this, so this doesn't feel as bad. But for the most part, this is my current challenge, and it feels challenging, like despite having gone through worse stuff. And I have to be able to measure up to this kind of thing. Like, I don't feel great this week. I have to travel. I need to do well. So I need to show up and be on and be ready to put in a fucking great performance. And that's part of this career that I have chosen for myself. And there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to perform. I'm not going to do Zoom shows for my whole life. So I'm faced with something this week. So I guess I said I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe this is what the fuck is going on. And I've got a real potty mouth. You know, are you vaping? I'll be fine. And the truth is, when I'm having to travel for this, I actually feel great once I'm like on the way. Once I'm about 20 minutes into the drive, I start to feel like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm so grateful that I get to be traveling to do this thing that I love. I'm excited to go be on a stage I haven't been on before, stuff like that. Almost every time, that's how I feel. Even if I'm going to like an open mic locally and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to go. As soon as I get in the car and I'm on the way, I'm like, all right, I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm grateful that this is my life. You know, I could be clocking in at an office, sitting in a cubicle and miserable, and I'm not doing that. So I am happy about that. But even though this is my favorite thing, I'm still challenged by it. And I hope that's normal. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want other people to be like struggling, but I hope that that I'm a regular human. I hope that feeling challenged even by something you love is normal. Am I weak? You know what I mean? That's my fear. Am I weak? Am I a fragile snowflake and I can't handle shit that I should be able to handle without problems? You know, I don't know. But I will say lately, I feel like I sound scripted today. Is this what I always say? Do I always sound this fucking like I'm reading off a piece of paper? So I will say lately, stand-up has been going really well. I don't want to repeat myself over and over, but I've been having a lot of fun. The improv's been really good. Comedians that I look up to notice that I'm kind of doing what I used to be doing, and they're happy to see it, and I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. Even if I'm on a show where I feel like I should just do material, I'm being myself. So, like, comedy has been going well lately. It has been. It feels good. And I'm glad. Dude, if I had been bombing lately, if I'd been feeling like shit and not getting laughs and feeling horrible about my ability to perform, and then I had to go travel and perform in front of strangers, and I don't mean the audience, it's always strangers in the audience, but like strangers in the audience would be a good name for a song or a band. And but like the other comedians, and I was terrified that I was going to do horribly, and they were going to think like, wow, this fucking loser traveled from a different state to come bomb. You know, that would be a nightmare. And I used to do that. When I first started, the first few years, whatever it was, I would always, regularly drive fucking 4 or 5 hours one way to do, you know, a 5-minute set. It might just be an open mic, but a 5-minute set, whatever. Maybe it was a show, and I would bomb. I bombed when I first started, dude. Some people are funny when they first start. Most people aren't. Most people, even if they're funny off stage, when they get on stage, they start doing like an impression of a comedian. When new comics do like an impression of what they think comedy is supposed to look like. And so like they're not funny that way. You know, they have to like relearn how to be comfortable and funny and just be themselves. So I was definitely doing that. It was weird. When I first started, I was very loose and I had no jokes, and I was kind of doing what I'm doing now. And I'm not saying I was as good then as I am now, but that was fine. I actually was doing really well. I won a couple competitions, literally just talking about how I didn't have jokes and calling myself a piece of shit. But then I started to like get more ensconced in the art form, and I felt like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing material like these other comics. I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to be writing off stage. I'm supposed to be doing, and so I started doing what I thought I was supposed to do, and not what was fun, and not what I was naturally good at, not what made sense for me. And so I fucking sucked for years. I viscerally remember a time when me going to do perform anywhere, basically like 9 out of 10 times I was going to do poorly. And if I did well, I was thrilled. I was surprised too. That's crazy. I can't believe I ever stuck with it. It is so embarrassing to bomb. It is so, and it doesn't really feel this way anymore. Like if I don't do well, I can typically figure out why, and it doesn't hurt as bad, but that depends. But, it's embarrassing. You feel deeply insecure about what the fuck am I doing this for? Why, I see these people doing really well. Am I just not like them? I'm not cut out for it, whatever. The fact that anybody that struggles in the beginning sticks with it is, you really have to love stand-up. You really have to want to be good at it. You really have to be, I don't want to say obsessed, because I actually disagree with that, but you do have to be, I think, predisposed enough that you're just willing to deal with it. And you also have to be honest with yourself. Like, you can't get through that difficult period in the beginning by lying to yourself and saying, no, they just don't get me. I'm actually really good. You have to be honest and say, I suck, and then try to figure out, half burp, tasted like clam chowder. Not happy about it. You have to be honest, and you have to like try to figure out why you suck. Especially when the club that I first started at, well, I technically started at a place called Crackers, but then I went to a place called Morty's, which became my home club for years until it closed. Especially when you're at a place like that where there are some good comedians, but then you also get to see the local, like the best of the local area. There's this lady, Miss Pat. She's famous now. Got a show on BET. She's been on Rogan. She's fucking great. She's been doing it forever. You know, you go up and you bomb. You do your little 4 or 5 minutes, and you get 2 laughs. And then you say, oh, the audience sucks or whatever. You're feeling like maybe it wasn't my fault. Maybe it is an off night. And then you see somebody like Miss Pat go up for what has been a horrible audience for every other comedian, and you see her absolutely slaughter. For as long as she wants to be on stage, the whole time she's killing. And I don't mean like getting laughs. I mean like people are doubled over, struggling to breathe. The walls are rumbling with the amount of laughs that she's getting. And then you're faced with, oh no, that's what a good comedian looks like. I'm not doing that. It had nothing to do with the audience. If I was good enough, I would have been able to figure this out. It's tough. It's really tough in the beginning. It's kind of tough always. I know I've talked about this before, but comedy is a very up and down thing. And I think I don't know that it's always this way, but I'm sure it levels out to some extent. But my experience has always been, and it's not just my experience, talking with other comics that I've known for a decade at this point, it's exactly the same for them. I was just talking to my buddy Ray. He just recorded, I hosted for him the night that he recorded his album. He had just performed in a theater for like 200 people, and the show went great, and he was feeling thrilled, and he sold merch, and he felt like a real comedian. Next night, for his album recording, there's fucking 11 people there. You know what I mean? And the recording went great. He got enough laughs that it won't matter that there wasn't a huge audience, and it was a small room anyways. But it just humbles you. Oh, it just he was one night he's killing in front of 200 people, and probably to some extent like taken aback that he was able to draw that many. The next night he's spending hundreds of dollars to record this thing, and half of a 7th grade English class shows up. So it's just like that. I'm about to travel tomorrow, like I said, and I know that there's a really good chance I'm going to be performing for only comics tomorrow night. A lot of locally produced shows in every city I've ever lived in, ever performed in, a lot of locally produced shows don't bring much or any audience out. Unless it's a really comedy savvy town and people know about these one-off shows that they can go to. When people think I want to go watch stand-up, they think they have to go to a comedy club, so that's where people go to watch stand-up. So these local little shows My Hair Looks Great. These shows they certainly don't sell out. You'll perform like 11 people. You'll perform for 5 people. If you get 20, 30 people, that's like, fuck yeah, dude, we got a real one. So I know I'm traveling. I'm getting paid regardless. It's not like I'm getting a percentage of the door. We've discussed what I'm getting, and I'm, happy with it. But she might be losing money, if nobody comes out. I've done a lot of really good shows for a lot of people. But at this point in my career, I hate to say this, but I've definitely done more shows for tiny audiences than for big ones. That's normal. I'm okay with it. I'm not embarrassed about it. And it makes you a good comedian. It makes you better, especially in New York, man. New York was rough. The open mics were always just comedians. The shows rarely had more than like eight people. There was one show that my buddy, these 2 friends that I mention every now and then, who I don't name for whatever reason, one of them put on the best show I'd been to outside of club stuff in New York. And for whatever reason, I don't know what he did differently, but he would pack. It was a bookstore, but it was in the basement of a bookstore. So it wasn't a huge room, but he would fucking pack. It was like 80 people in this tiny room. I truly don't know how he did it. And it was such a good show that he was getting like not locally famous, but like famous comedians that live in New York to come do this show. It was really cool. That's how good of a show it was. So I would do that, but for the most part, My phone's ringing. God damn it. Fuck my phone. For the most part, that's going to distract me. Wait there. Don't go anywhere. I don't know who it is. All right. So, but for the most part, you know, I'm going to the middle of fucking Brooklyn when I live in Manhattan, and I'm no idea what to expect. I was riding my bike everywhere, so I'm riding my bike an hour, which I loved, but I'm riding my bike an hour to go show up to some place where I'm probably going to get shot. And, you know, it's the host, the guy who's like producing the show, guy or girl producing the show, and the other comedians in the show, and then like two fucking Swedish tourists who don't speak English that somehow got tricked into, you know, coming to this whatever. So I'm used to that. I could do that, but I really hope that's not what tomorrow night is. I hope tomorrow night is got enough people that we're really doing something, you know? I don't know the other comedians on the show. I'm sure they're fine. Yeah, I just hope it's real. And it'll be real regardless, but I just mean like what I'm doing lately, oh my God, my burps hurt and they're gross. What I'm doing lately, like the being silly and loose and just having fun with the audience, it's way more fun when there's an audience. You know what I mean? Like it's significantly better for us, who the fuck is us? Me and them when there's, you know, more than 3 people there. I don't know if I've ever talked about this before. Nightmare show in New York. It was the show at New York Comedy Club. It was a show I was doing to pass. Passing, for those of you that don't know, whatever, is like you perform in front of the club owner or whoever, and maybe just a comic that performs there all the time. And depending on how you do afterwards, you'll start to get paid work at the club, regular paid work, semi-regular. It starts off, you get barely anything, but you know, time goes on, and you're there more often and that kind of thing. And the club, I thought, would like promote this show. Not like, oh, Max Haddad, but, you know, just promote it as we've got this show. Tickets aren't that expensive. Come hang out, whatever. They didn't put any work into it. They didn't tell me to put any work into it. And maybe I should have known to, but like, you know, it's not like they gave me tickets to give away or sell or anything. They literally said nothing. They didn't hand me give me flyers to go to Times Square and hand out or whatever. I just was told, this is your opportunity to try out, whatever. So I invite my family, brother, sister still lived in New York, and then their mom was in town, and their mom used to be my dad's wife. So she's not my mom, but she's their mom, and it's always awkward around her for, I think, what are probably obvious reasons, you know. And so basically, it's just them. There was literally two, like I said, 2 tourists that probably didn't speak English, and then my family sitting right up front. I'm performing for 5 people, 65% of them being like sharing blood with me. Not the fucking their mom, but you know what I'm saying. So for however long I was on stage, I think it was probably 15 minutes. I literally just talked about how she used to fuck my dad. It was fine. You know, like I made my family laugh. I made the other 2 Italians or whatever they were laugh. And I passed. I don't even know why it counted, to be honest. It's like not a real thing. It was like Thanksgiving dinner minus the food that you invite tourists to. And, but that's what you get used to as a comedian when you're first starting. You get used to these nightmare shows for no people or your family, your friends, whatever. And I think what it does more than anything is it makes you not give a fuck. It makes you not care. It makes you know that, like, all right, I'm going to go have fun. That's the goal. I'm going to go have fun. Maybe I'm going to work on material, but like, I'm going to go have a good time. And then what starts to happen is you having a good time translates to the audience seeing that you're having a good time. They're relaxed because you're relaxed. And then that's when you sort of start to come into your own and figure out how you personally do stand up. You're not doing an impression anymore, trying to have a great set. You're just saying, fuck it, dude. I'm going to go talk about what I want to talk about. I'm going to go be silly in the way that I'm silly. And that's a cool turning point. That is a really fun turning point. And my experience was I didn't even realize it was happening. I realized I was starting to care less in a good way, but I didn't realize that it was making me a much better comedian until I was, not even in the middle of it. past the middle of it and be like, oh, I'm performing in a different way now because I don't think about shows the same ways I used to. And I kind of had to go through that again lately. Like that's this change that I've made in the last few months where I'm having more fun, being loose, being my old self again, is I showed up trying to be a comedian, showed up from the break, the forced break that I took, trying to be a comedian. And then I'm rediscovering how I do stand up. So I guess what I'm saying is I hope tomorrow the travel is worth it because it'll be a show that allows me to be that version of me that I like being on stage. Does that make sense? My voice cracked like a man's would. My ears are itchy. My nose is itchy. I'm burping. And the burps taste like clam chowder. I'm a fucking mess. Yeah. So what else has been going on? I am unfortunately in the middle of a disagreement. See, and at the beginning of this, I said, why am I in a weird mood? I'm naming reason after reason. I'm in a weird, it's not a fight. I think of myself as a good friend, and I think of myself that way because I'm basically willing to do anything for my friends, to be loyal, to support them, to help them through the good and the bad, help them move, help them fucking go through a breakup, whatever it is. And I'm really good at showing up when my friends need me to show up. I am horrible at showing up when my friends want me to show up. That's what I'm realizing. I've always thought of myself as a really good friend because I care about it and I try to be one. But in the last 6 months, I've had 2 friends express to me that they don't feel like I've been showing up for them. And it just happened again a couple days ago. He and I have never been in a disagreement, really. Like, I'm sure we have, but he's never said to me as explicitly, he's never said to me that he's upset as explicitly as he did the other day. And he did it over text, which is totally what I would prefer. And he was very kind, very well spoken, was comprehensive. He didn't just say, you're not showing up for me and I'm pissed. He said, hey, I don't want this to be malicious at all. I'm just expressing this to you. We've had plans, you've flaked, we've had to change stuff. It didn't work out. You've said things like you're going to make it up to me. You didn't. And I'm pissed and it hurts my feelings and it makes me worry about you. See, he wasn't just coming from, I'm pissed. That's why he's a good guy. That's why he's my friend. Because he's not just saying, I'm pissed off at you. He's saying, plus, when you are flaky or whatever, it makes me wonder what's going on. Are you okay? He's a good guy. So I'm not mad at him. I'm not sitting here thinking, well, yeah, I didn't show up because I've this reason and that reason. So how dare you tell me I'm not, I'm not sitting here arguing with him in my head. I'm doing a bad job making eye contact with the camera today. Well, fuck off, deal with it. I'm not sitting here feeling slighted, feeling like he's not being fair. I'm actually sitting here feeling like, fuck, dude, 2 friends have basically told me the same thing in 6 months. I must suck at this. This must be real. I must be doing a bad job in this department. And what it's made me realize is, and I kind of already knew it, but what it's made me realize is I don't want to hang out with people even if I love them and they're my best friends. And that's why I'm a flake. It's not, I am busy sometimes. My mom had surgery this week. Like, things have happened. She's fine, by the way. It's a minor surgery and it went really well. But I just so much prefer to be alone that it is really tough for me, even if we made plans to show up. And it's not like I never show up. I mean, it's most of the time I do, but enough of the time I cancel or ask if we could do it a different day, that it's a real issue for my friends. And they're working with me and they're not just saying, fuck you, I don't want to be friends anymore. But I understand that it's hurting them. It's hurting their feelings. It's making them feel like they don't matter to me. Where the truth is, they actually matter a ton. They're the only people I even attempt to make plans with. I just don't. I know I spoke about this last week and me feeling like I'm okay with it, but I think I'm way too isolated. And I don't know where that came from because I didn't used to be that way. I've always been an introvert to some extent, but I don't know why it is so egregious right now in my life. I don't like to leave my house unless it's for stand-up. And you guys have heard me whine today I don't even want to leave for that half the time. I like to be curled up on the couch with a book or YouTube or whatever, my dog, and that's what I enjoy doing. So if I go and I hang out with this friend, of course I love his company. Of course we laugh and have fun. But to me, even though he's one of the most important people in my life and I like to be around him and the relationship is deeply important to me, it's still showing up still feels like effort. It doesn't feel like, like if we've got plans that I know are going to be fun, I'm not sitting days before thinking, boy, I can't wait till these plans come to fruition and we're hanging out. It's going to be a blast. I'm thinking, fuck. I'm literally thinking, fuck, here we go. Now I'm going to have to dress like a human being and go and hang out and kind of be on a little bit. And I just, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I don't want to do it. And I don't think I think to a great extent, that's okay. Are you vaping? Are you making your kids vape? That's the important part. To a great extent, it's okay that I am how I'm wired, and I don't want to be, around people constantly, even if they're my friends. But to a big enough extent that it's important, I am probably not showing up as much as I need to for people. And I'm not dumb. I know that even if I show up for my friends when they need me, you have to show up in relationships more than just for emergencies, for the relationship to last. The relationship has to be growing and in a healthy stasis. It can't just be, it can't be threadbare and you're just fucking maintaining it. You know what I mean? You can't water a plant once every month just so it doesn't die. You need to water it regularly so it's healthy. And I'm not good at that. I'm really good at showing up once a month and dumping a fucking gallon of water on a plant. I'm not good at tending to it on a daily basis. And that sucks. I didn't realize I was so fucking bad at that. And I know I'm my harshest critic. I don't want to make it seem like a bigger deal than it is. But I'm faced with it again. And, the one friend telling me, and to an extent, she is a needier person and kind of a more dramatic person than this guy. He's not dramatic at all, really. So her telling me, I was like, okay, well, maybe she just needs more than the average person. And I acknowledge that I had failed to an extent, but maybe it is her to some amount. But now I'm like, oh shit, this is me. I fucked up. Because this guy is not that way. He's not needy. He doesn't complain all the time. Like I said, he's never, ever, ever, and we've been friends for, how old am I? I'm 32. We've probably been friends for 15 years. He's never expressed to me before how upset he is like this, ever. He said, I miss you. I wish we could hang out more. But he's never said what the things that he said to me. And they were all extremely fair. And like I said, kindly spoken. So it's not like he showed up and just tried to shit on me and hurt my feelings so I would do the right thing. He, I'm sure, brooded over this text to make sure it was worded absolutely perfectly because he cares about it so much. How dumb am I that I started this episode saying I'm in a weird mood and I don't know why? How much evidence do I need directly in front of me to be like, oh, that's why I don't feel great? Pretty much all the time I think of my life as being challenging because of external things. Like I want to be a successful stand-up comedian, and by successful I mean I want to support myself entirely through it financially. I think of like, okay, that's my biggest challenge. I need to be busting my ass to make this happen. I'm behind, I think of that as the struggle of my life currently. It's not that I think I'm perfect, but I have put an awful lot of work on myself personally. So I don't think very often about how I'm failing, like internally. And I mean, I guess this is external. It's a relationship, but I mean, like I'm failing to recognize how my personal traits are hurting other people. I'm not thinking about that as much as I used to when I was younger. When I was an AA member, all I did was think about how I was a fuck up. part of the reason I'm so glad I am not an AA member anymore. A, because it's a cult. B, because it makes you feel like a piece of shit and that you have to depend on AA to have any sort of a happy, healthy life, which is not true. It works for some people. That's the part I have to say. Well, if it works for some people, which I don't even buy into that. I think almost everyone could figure out a different, more healthy way. But, that's not what this episode's about. But I used to spend a ton of time thinking about how I was fucking up, doing, they call them inventories, fourth steps, looking at my failings, my resentments, things like that. That's all I used to do. So I do think getting away from AA, I probably don't want to do it as much anymore. I'm probably avoiding it because doing it reminds me of AA. It's not like I never do it. I'm doing it now. But maybe I have been too distracted by the external challenges right now. And maybe I'm not looking enough at myself. I don't know. But I'm not happy about being in my 30s and being told I'm not a good friend. And he's not saying I'm not a good friend. He's saying I'm a flake and I don't show up enough and that I cancel plans. And it is so true. I am actively jealous of people that love to hang out with other people and constantly are hanging out socially, and it seems normal to them. Like this guy that I'm talking about, we're having this tiff. He is always with friends. He works a lot. He's a therapist. He works a ton of hours, and then he meets up with friends and goes golfing or something. And it's like, to me, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. If I had to work 10 hours and then go see people, that's the opposite of what I want to do. So I'm okay being the way that I am, but it is like I am jealous. I'm jealous of people who, throughout my life, every now and then, I feel like people got like a piece of paper that told them how to live, and I didn't get it. And right now I'm kind of feeling like everybody else got a memo, and I didn't get a memo about how to live a happy social life. And of course, it's just as simple as like, well, just go do it. It'll be fun. Just go show up and have fun and hang out with friends and it'll be cool. But for whatever reason, for me, that is not something I want to do. And it's a big struggle, even though, like I said, I love these people and they make me happy. And I care about them. And I care about people generally, but my circle of people is not very big. In fact, I would say it's extremely small. But the people that are in it matter deeply to me. So I got to fix this. I really do. This is bothering me. I got to fix this. For a lot of reasons. One, it's important to me that I'm a good friend and that I add to people's lives, not make them more difficult. Two, I know that I would benefit if I was more social. You're supposed to have 5 good friends that you can call at 3 a.m. and say, my life is collapsing. Can you help me? You're supposed to have 5. I guess I'm doing better, and I think I have 3. Maybe that's fine. Fuck, maybe I have 4. But they don't feel like that. Like, I would feel bad calling them, and not even at 3 a.m., but at like 2 p.m. and being like, I'm sad. I would feel like a burden, which tells me I'm probably not as close to them as I should be. I definitely have walls up. Like, I have walls up and I protect myself, and I try to live in a little safe bubble, because if you don't let people in, then they won't disappoint you. And that sounds like I'm a fucking 14-year-old boy, like, writing in his diary, but I mean, I like my life to be very simple, and that makes it simple to not constantly involve people. But maybe life is not supposed to be simple. Maybe I would be happier if life was complicated but full of social events, It's an audio medium and I'm not talking, so, that's good. Enjoy this silence. There's some piano piece. I guess it's technically not even a piano piece. I can't remember if it's by Philip Glass or John Cage, but it's like 16 minutes of silence. It's literally him sitting at his piano in an auditorium, and you can hear like traffic driving by. And it's interesting, but obviously you're not going to listen to it on repeat like, oh, this fucking song bumps, dude. I love this, is my jam. And then you just listen to, a traffic guard tell a group of kids that they can cross the street. So, the podcast can't be that, but I'm feeling thoughtful today. I'm really trying to process this. And in my first reaction, by the way, to my friend telling me this, immediately I texted him back and I said, you are absolutely 100% correct. Like, I didn't want to argue, and it's not like I was avoiding it because I didn't care and I didn't want to mess with it. It struck me as instantly true. And he, again, voiced it so compassionately that I had no inclination to disagree or argue. It was just in my face. Somebody was holding a mirror up to my very being, and it was like, oh, that's my fucking reflection, and that shit stinks. Not that reflections have a smell, but you know what I'm saying. And so I just told him he's right, and that's been the end of it. It's not the end of it, But then my reaction after that was not to show up more, but my reaction was like, you know what? Maybe I'm saying yes to too many things. Maybe instead of saying yes, let's hang out on Tuesday, and then I reschedule it or cancel it, I should just say no, I don't want to. And then I know the relationships will deteriorate. But that's me, again, in this bubble with my walls up, trying to protect myself, saying like, well, fuck it. Maybe I'm just not wired for this. So instead of trying to show up and then failing at it, I'll just not try to show up. And I was alarmed at how healthy that felt. It was concerning to me. It was. That felt like the right choice. And that is such a bitter, nihilistic way of looking at friendship that can't be the right choice, right? I'm asking you guys, like, that can't be it, right? Shouldn't my reaction, or shouldn't my desired reaction at least, be to like, oh, fuck, I will show up more. I will hang out with more people. I went inward. I retracted or wanted to. And it's part of the reason I haven't said anything more to him. I mean, he and I need to have a real conversation over the phone or in person. I don't want to, truth be told, just because all I'm going to say is, dude, you're fucking right. You're right. I fucked up. I'm not doing a good job showing up for you, and I'm sorry. And I'm comfortable saying that, but I just feel like, I just feel like I don't want to say sorry and then continue to do a bad job. I don't want that. And currently, I'm not certain that I believe I can change. That's the truth. I feel way too distracted by the current state of affairs of Max Haddad's life to firmly believe I would be able to make a big enough change that it would matter. So I don't know. Obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but I'm going to say obviously I know what the healthiest choice is. I think it's obvious. I think it's the healthiest choice. But I truly kind of don't know where to begin. Because I know I could just say well, let's make plans and I will never fucking flake on you again unless there's an emergency. But the problem isn't now. The problem isn't let's make plans for Thursday. Today's Monday. I can say yes today. I'm really good at saying yes 4 days beforehand. The problem is it comes the day of and I'm like, holy shit, I'm fucking tired. It's 5 p.m. The last thing I want to do is leave the house, and then I cancel. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't do it all the time. For the people I care about, I do show up more for them more than I fucking show up for anybody else. I do put in effort, but it's not enough. And I don't know if I have more in me right now. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding depressed or like a bummer this episode. I'm actually not feeling that way. I'm just trying to be really critically think about what's going on. Because I hate it when I say stuff and I don't follow through. I do hate it. Every time I cancel on a friend, I feel bad. I never, is there some relief? Sure. But I feel guilty. I feel bad. I know I'm not being a good friend. It's not like I'm ignorant of this. I'm I am constantly aware of when I'm fucking up that way. But I guess part of me is like, well, I hope they just... There's a bug in my house, a big bug. I don't like that. Part of me hopes that I just hope they love me and understand me enough to know that I know and that I'm trying, even though I'm failing. And, you know, I think it's not like I do it once and they freak out. They've put up with it for a while. But I'm just a different person than I used to be. I did used to be, despite being introverted to the extent that I needed to be alone to recharge, I was a social butterfly. I hung out with people constantly. You know, friends would just come and shoot the shit for hours. And now I'm like, if we don't have anything specific to do, go away. I want to be alone. You know, I'm just different. I'm different than I used to be. And I know I'm not alone in this. I don't mean I'm different like nobody else is this way. I just don't know what happened. But I feel safer being alone. All moments eternally nice, that shit is probably not okay. I can have plenty of solitudinous, solitary moments without isolating. But for some reason, I don't feel safe putting myself out there. So what the fuck is that about? And to get back to stand-up to some extent, how am I so perfectly comfortable being in front of hundreds of people, being a silly fucking clown, making them laugh, but it struggles so profoundly to show up for one person for 3 hours and play video games? Like, what is that? How twisted is that? That you know, what the fuck? Why can I comfortably show up for 11 strangers and make them happy and laugh, and I can't show up for somebody that I say I love deeply? And I'm being very harsh on myself. I can show up. I do show up, but I'm not enough, it would seem. So what's that about? I don't think I've ever met a comedian that's not true. I've met some well-adjusted comedians, at least outwardly, but my guess is that they're fucked up too. But a lot of comedians are just fucking fucked up. And I'm not trying to be a mess because I think, ooh, I'm an artist. I have to be weird and have problems or I'm not interesting. These are just real struggles. And everybody's got real struggles. But I don't know what it is about comedians like needing the approval of a bunch of strangers, but then feeling comfortable living like Ernest Hemingway in a fucking cabin in the woods, you know? I'm a felon. I can't have a gun. Thank goodness. So I don't know, man. I want to be a good friend and I want to show up, but I have to feel safe to do it, I think. And I don't know how to do that. You know, I do, even amongst good friends, I feel exposed. Like I went to hang out with this guy that I've been talking about. I had expressed to him how fucking tired and unwell I had felt, like mentally. And he's like, dude, just come over tomorrow, no matter what, and just hang out. And you are allowed to be as fucked up and tired and whatever as you want to be. There are zero expectations for you to entertain me or be interesting or anything. And I really appreciated him meeting me where I was at. And I went over to his house and I sat for 3 hours. And in the middle of the 3 hours, one of his friends, I would say a mutual friend, I'm not real close with him, but I do like him, showed up, and I felt panicked, dude. I felt like he had tricked me into seeing someone else. I felt exposed. I felt like there was a spotlight shining on me because I had gone from being allowed to be like quiet and tired and just a bump on a log melting into the couch. And then I felt like, oh fuck, now I have to turn on and be a human being. And I was told that I don't have to do that today. You know, and the guy that came over, the other dude, like he's a really good guy, would have absolutely been okay with me being in whatever state I was in. But I just was like, nope, now I can't. Now I gotta be interesting. Now I got to be excited. Now I got to be all this, that, and the other. And again, grateful for dogs because the friend I've been talking about has a dog, and then the guy that came over, the other dude, brought his dog with him. So I'm petting the dogs, and I get to just do that, and they protect me from feeling like I have to do other shit, like whatever, project and joke, and so I could just focus on the puppies. The same reason I go and get a haircut from a lady that's got a bunch of dogs, because I don't have to talk to her about shit. I can just talk to her about her dogs. Isn't that right, puppy? Isn't that right, you freaking people? You freaking cutie. So yeah, guys, sorry that I'm just whatever today, but it's what's going on, and that's what this podcast is about. It's about what the fuck's going on. So, yeah, I gotta do social media and promote this podcast and my stand up, and then I gotta be a good friend, and it's wow, life is just constantly has got just shit that you have to do. And I do fight too hard to make my life completely empty of things that I have to do. It's bad. It is not good. I'm bad at taking on challenges. No, I'm bad at tacking things onto my life to make it better. Yeah, I guess this episode's just about what I'm bad at, but sorry. I'm doing better than I probably am sounding. So I don't worry about me or whatever, but hey, at the end of the day, at least I can vape. My mom did get surgery. She got carpal tunnel surgery. She was going to get it on one hand. She got it on both. So now she's basically got lobster claws that she can't use for the next month. Feel bad for her, but she's a strong lady. She'll be cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about her. My dad's 81. I'm worried about him. It's just, what the fuck? Are we just, how do we turn these things around? Because again, amen, baby. I gotta be happy. We gotta fucking be chipper and shit. Not fake. But these little challenges have to be, I gotta view it as surmountable. I can't view it as I'm being beat. I have to view it as little challenges that I'll figure out and then I'll best. I don't know. I know that I will do it. I know that I will figure it out. But I do think it's going to take some time. Yeah, it's just going to take some time. And I love comedy, and it's deeply important to me that I be successful at it. And I need to put in more effort in social media that way. And I will. I have to, or I'm never going to be financially stable. But gosh darn it, I guess I got to do stuff that's not stand up too. I guess that's the lesson for today. All moments eternally nice. You can't just focus on one thing and expect life to be peaceful. You have to look at it from a bunch of different angles. So take care of yourselves. I hope you're doing splendidly, truly. I'll talk to you next week. And yeah, keep me updated. That's what the comment section is for. So bye.